Hello and welcome back to the ministry page. I know, I actually got makeup on today. Ain't that awesome? I wanted to talk about something. I felt that me being made up a little bit for this looked a little bit better. So, what is today's topic? As a female, and from the Bible, there is such a thing as Proverbs 31 woman. Why are we talking about the Proverbs 31 woman? Well, I'm going to tell you why we're talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. We're talking about the Proverbs 31 woman because I just saw a video clip while watching one of the financial ministers that I listen to. Well, he's not a financial minister. He's a finance advisor who talks about finance, and he showed this clip from Instagram or something, and it was this woman, and she was talking about what she wasn't going to do in a relationship. It flies in the face of everything that a woman of God is ever supposed to say or do in a relationship. She said that she was going to remain single, which what she defined as what her desired goal was. She was most definitely probably going to remain single. What did she say? I'm going to tell you. She said, I don't do nothing for nobody no more. I'm tired of people being lazy. I'm tired of the fact that, so you want me to marry you, become your secretary, become your this, become your nursemaid, become all this, take care of the bills, take care of all of this, make your appointments. Anybody got time for to be cooking and all this kind of stuff? And I'm sitting there like, skirt. Rewind it back a little bit for me, because I need a little bit more understanding. What did you just say? But hey, she said that she didn't want to end up in no relationship, and by doing that, she will not end up in anything but either a one night stand or a situationship, because that must be what she liked. Because now let me roll it back. Pause. Now, Proverbs 31 woman. Let's go by everything that she just said, okay? I'm not going to cook. Proverbs 31 woman does what? She takes care of her household. She covers her children. She covers her husband. Her husband is a man of the city. Her husband is a man that's recognized within the city gates. Proverbs 31 woman is a woman whose man respects her. Her children respect her. She is up first thing in the morning, taking care of things that are needed. She is also one that during the snowstorms, she takes care of things. She's a provider. By the fact that she goes and she uses her hands for linens, she uses her hands to do things. She goes into the city and she picks out great fabrics. She's one that can go buy and sell property. Excuse me. She takes care of her household. Her husband implores her. A woman that is looking for a relationship, and you can't sit up there and say that you want a relationship with anybody if you're not willing to work at the relationship, because when you are in a relationship, you must work within the relationship. Okay? You must have a viewpoint of what your relationship should look like. Okay? You should have an understanding of what you desire to see the outcome of your relationship to be. Now, this is what I'm going to say, because this is the prescription for that entire holy mess that was. Okay? She did also say at the end she was looking for an adult man. She wanted somebody that she could work with that was going to not only work with her, but be willing to do those things themselves for themselves, and not only be her doing those things. Now, you just basically what she's saying, she wanted an adult man. Men, I will say this about men. You have to observe men, because let me tell you something. They're looking at you. They're paying attention to what you do, how you do it, and they size you up. Are you that chick? Are you that one? That one I can play my game with. If I can play my game with you, then yeah, they're going to do exactly what she said that she did was not going to have happen in any relationship. There are men that will literally watch you to see, can I play game on this person? And am I going to be able to get away with it? Then there's another person that's like, okay, if a person presents themselves in a certain manner and says, look, what I desire, and see, some women is dangerous because of the fact that players, they know that if we tell first, and we as women, we do it all the time because we want, one, we have this element of control about ourselves. So at least some of us have control about ourselves, where we're kind of like, I gotta let you know everything right off the bat. I'm the type of person that will tell you everything you want to know in the first conversation. This is probably why when I was in previous scenarios where I'd liked the guy and we sat and we had a full conversation, he got to find out everything that he wanted to know about me in that first conversation. That's probably why we didn't have a second conversation. Because at that time, I didn't realize that if I tell you everything about me from the beginning to end, I leave you no mystery as to come back to me for the next part of the story. But I'm that type of person that I'm going to get my point out. This comes from, and I'm going to talk about me, this comes from when people don't listen to you, you feel like, oh, one, if I get a person that's going to listen to me, I prefer to tell you everything I need you to know in this one statement without any interruption. Mostly because of the fact that way I know that you heard everything I had to say. But when you have people that are willing to listen to you, you can back off a little bit. You can calm down. When you understand that you're safe with the person, because a woman that feels safe and she's non-controlling, she may not tell you everything in the first conversation because she feels, for one, she's going to have a second conversation with you. So she ain't got to tell you everything. But a woman that tells you exactly everything, a man that knows how to play game wants that conversation, because he will come up and do everything you ask him to do until he gets sick and tired of you. He will mirror the exact thing you desire. He will be everything you ever wanted, everything you ever dreamed of. And if you got a long distance relationship, it's perfect for him, because if it's long distance, then he can do whatever he wants to do and be whoever you want him to be within that space, because he doesn't have to fully commit to you, because this is all that you got going right here. Okay? Now, for a woman that explains herself to that degree that she's not going to take care, once a man sizes up, he determines, oh, she's probably one, controlling, two, lazy. Either she's lazy and doesn't want to do anything, or she does, but she's so explanatory that she's got to have a certain amount of control over the situation, or she ain't doing nothing. This is bad. Ladies, don't do this. And the sad fact of the matter is, we see a lot of black women do this. They will have the tendency that they will explain themselves to a degree that the guy knows, this is the box I'm going to put you in. I learned a long time ago that men have ability to compartmentalize you quick. He knows what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and which way he's going to do it. Perfect example. I was in a previous relationship. When I was in the previous relationship, the first time we went through our relationship, he used to take me out. We would go out. We would do this. We would do that. We enjoyed ourselves. We'd go to the places that we enjoy. We'd go to the movies. He'd take me to certain places. And I even took him out to certain places. I remember I took him somewhere for his birthday. But the second time around, when we started the relationship, it was a completely different situation, because it was a situationship. And I'm spreading my business, but yeah, it was a situationship. And you know what that is. And the situation was more on my part, because that's what I wanted. But I noticed it when I realized he stopped doing the other thing. He wasn't taking me out to dinner. He wasn't doing this. He was only taking me to you know where. And it took me a long time to figure that out, because I had a lot of things going on in my life that the real reason I desired what I was getting was because I needed to de-stress. And I was not getting the relationship part. Now, I'm glad that I got what I got, because of the fact that due to that, it was a way for me to gain a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a way for me to gain a bit of peace, because of the fact that I now know what I don't want, because I went through what I went through in the relationship I was in prior. But with knowing what I don't want, because I'm very meticulous, I have to be relaxed when I do enter my next relationship. And learning to relax is something that's a new thing for me, because I've lived on an edge for several years. But coming back to our point, a woman must be willing to be a bit of a provider in the element of she has to show that she's willing. Not that she's lazy. That she's willing. No, you should never let any man take advantage of you. That you should never do. But yeah, if you're going to date a person, I mean, if now as a kingdom woman seeking relationship for a godly connection in my next relationship, no. The only way that I'm doing the cooking thing is, how do I say this? We as Christians are supposed to have an accountability partner. If you're going to be in a dating courtship situation and you desire to cook for the person, guess what? They either got to come over to your place, or you have to have somebody that's going to be a middle person that's going to stay there while the two of you are together as your accountability. Because for some reason, when you're a Christian, is a tendency that the stakes are higher for you, that you not mess up and not do anything that you wouldn't be considered godly. So you have to have accountability. Unless your relationship is at a distance for the period of time during your courtship and everything's done in public areas. And because everything is public, by the time you get to a point of courtship, that you are engaged and you're getting married, that you don't have to sit there and worry about those things. You're already married, so you can pretty much do whatever you desire to do, for it says that the marriage bed is undefiled. But for a single woman, I mean, hey, if the single woman is desiring to do what she desires to do and she is not living righteously, then that's up to her. But for a godly woman, you must be willing to be a woman that cooks for your spouse. Because see, what a man will do is he will see. He's looking at a few things. He's going to be looking at a few things. And the few things that he's going to be looking at is if he can see what type of woman you are. It's almost like not so much test driving the car before, but if he can see that you're willing to cook, at the very least, he knows she's willing to cook a meal when we get married. And it's not to say, oh, as a female, that we should be sitting there doing every single thing for our spouses. There should be a balance. And there should be discussion about the balance of a relationship that you desire in the relationship. It may not be your first conversation, but within the first few conversations, you really discuss what you want. What do you want? Do you want a person that, okay, I know that you have this type of schedule, and I know that I have this type of schedule, which means we need to either A, hire somebody to be an assistant within our household, or B, we need to alternate chores. Or it'd be one of those types of scenarios where I clean this day, you clean that day, and we meet in the middle on the weekend and clean up the other parts of the house. You know what I'm saying? But it needs to be discussed. Everything is a discussion. A lot of things can be solved by the simplicity of a discussion. Talk. Communicate. When you communicate, these things can be solved so much quicker. You understand what I'm saying? So because these things can be solved so much quicker with a conversation, then it will be easier for you to grow. Because those first conversations, depending on what type of relationship you're looking for, will make those determinations. Now, if you're not looking for marriage, that's another thing. But if you desire to be in a relationship that could turn into marriage, you need to put yourself in a position for that. Now, some people will not put themselves in a position for that. And some people want the marriage desire without the benefit of the preparation for what they are desiring to do. When you're desiring marriage, you must prepare for it. You must prepare for it. Meaning you got to work on your communication skills. You got to work on situations where you got to think about things like what happens, God forbid, if something happens to either you or your spouse. The thing that a single does not understand is that when you do not have a partner, it's a scripture that states you have one to help the other one up. Meaning if one is sick, the other one can take care of them. If one has a financial issue, the other one can balance them out. Maybe they don't have the money, but they know how to either balance the money that you do have until things get taken care of, or they know what to do on their end that will bring money in to balance out the household while the other person isn't able to work. Knowing that your bills will be taken care of, knowing that you will be balanced out, and that all things are going to work in alignment. Another thing is there needs to be faith. What I heard when listening to the person as they were making this video is they have no faith in relationships anymore. More than likely, they've dealt with a series of relationships that repeated themselves and kept doing the exact same thing. So they decided, I don't want this. But if your first statement is that either you're lazy or you're not dealing with a man that's that way, or you're not willing to work within your relationship, you realize the definition of any relationship is work. You're going to have to either work to keep it, work to maintain it, work to what have you. Even a relationship that isn't dependent on it being relationship. Those people still talk at some point. They may not talk to the depth of what two people that are in a serious relationship do. And some of them, they probably do talk to the depth of a serious relationship, but they don't feel like they're pressured. Because some men, I'm not going to say all men are like this, but some men are more able and apt to talk to you after they've done some things. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest and truthful. After they've done some things, they're more apt to talk to you. Some women have some of the most intellectual conversations with their men during pillow talk. Let's just be honest, okay? Because the man is more relaxed. It's a certain thing with endorphins and pheromones and all that kind of stuff. They more relaxed. Everything's relaxed about them, and because everything's relaxed about them, you could get all the information. That's why a lot of women, even the ones that ain't doing right, they will use that to get information out of a man because they know that they relax. And you know what that is. I don't have to explain what that is. But there is a relationship to that. People don't even realize that even when they call themselves in a situationship, they still in a relationship because y'all still sharing information. You just trying to pretend that the information that you're sharing don't really mean nothing to you. But some of them people, including women, they may sit up there and try to, if they that hard, strong black woman, they gonna pretend that they was not hurt if that situationship ends abruptly. But guess what? I bet you they be hurt if that situationship end and find out 3 weeks later that he got married. They're looking around like, what just happened? We was in now. Why? Because the other woman was a Proverbs 31 woman. They saw what they wanted and they went and got it. They saw that the woman was willing to take care of the household. They saw that the woman was willing to do the work within the household, make sure that the bills were in order even if they didn't pay them, making sure that the house was in order, that the kids' things were in order, even if it was the husband's duty to make sure that it got done. If they were the type of wife that, yeah, they got their own thing going for them. So yeah, I can understand a woman feeling like, I'm not going to be your secretary, if she feels like she has something to, what's the word, that she has on her own plate that she has to do. She feels like she can't maintain. And some of that is strictly fear. A woman that is afraid, and some of that kind of energy comes from being afraid to commit to another person because of the responsibility that it will take to be in a relationship with said person. The responsibility of that person's emotions, and not knowing if they're going to take responsibility of your emotions. Are you safe and secure with this person? Then if you do have a child with that person, do you know that that person is going to be there for you once the child is born? Are they going to be there for the child once the child is born? Not knowing if you can maintain a household with having to divide your energy between your spouse, your children, and taking care of the household. Me, on the other hand, I'm a multitasker. I will multitask the house to death. I will multitask. I will take care. I will mop the floors. I will turn around. I'll cook the dinner. I'll be cooking the dinner while the floors being mopped, cleaning the tables, cleaning, organizing the house, making sure everything's in order. That's me. And the thing that for me is the concern. I have a very nurturing temperament. But my concern with children is they start out as infants that will scream all the time. Now, I pray for infants like me. My mother always said, you are the quietest baby. You never cried. You was just quiet. I pray all of my children are like me. That when I have my babies, they will be quiet. But I also know that I'm generationally the one in the lineage on my family line. You know how they say there's twins on this level, then there's twins on that level, then when it skips a generation, guess what? It hits the other person. Because it ain't hit nobody else, it look like it's gonna hit me. So I'm going to have to learn to manage taking care of more than one child at one time. Some parents are blessed that they get one child first time, and they get adjusted to the one child. But one child for two people can sometimes be a terror within itself, depending on how much energy the child has, just depending on what type of temperament the child has. Are they a crier? Are they not a crier? Are they a peaceable child? What kind of temperament does that child have? And once you know what that child's temperament is, it becomes easier. But once you have multiple children, their temperaments may each be different. And you also have to be aware that children, even at a young age, they will start to gauge you. Children from the very beginning of life will start to gauge you. That's why when you have a child, you will hear parents say this all the time, that child started screaming and crying. And they're like, wait, When did this child start screaming and crying like this? What is this? That child realizes that either one particular parent is always going to run to them when they start screaming and crying. So they're going to start screaming and crying for that parent. So, as a female, if you are afraid to take care of children, that's another reason why you will see a person reject to be in a relationship or a marriage like that, or not want to be in that kind of relationship, because they are afraid of the responsibility of having to take care of multiple things at the same time. They don't have enough of an attention span in order to do that. They don't have enough organization to do that. I've been a multitasker for several years, so I understand how to multitask. Now, some people will sit up there and say, oh, you're a jack of all trade but master of none. But that's not the end of that quote, because it comes another part that talks about, in doing that, you become almost more superior because you have the ability to handle a multitude of things all at once. Look up the whole quote. See, some people, and this woman seemed like she was very afraid of that. So I'm not going to make this much longer because I don't know if the video is going to take for much longer. But as females, you have to admit, one, check in with self to know who you are. Two, understand that you cannot repel somebody or say, oh, I'm not going to do that because of this. Because all that is you trying to forfeit or sabotage yourself because you just don't want to take the energy out. Because she could be missing out on the opportunity to meet a man in her life that is going to be a balance to her. But he ain't even hear the rest of the statement that she came out of her mouth with, because she said something stupid like that at the very beginning. Because at the end, she actually stated that she wanted somebody that was her equal, that was going to be her balance, that they were going to take care of and she would take care of as well. So it's not the fact that she wasn't going to do it and that she was lazy. She just wasn't going to deal with a lazy person. Now, if that's what she's previously dealt with, that means she got to check in with self. We all got to do a check in with self, and when we check in with self, we come to the understanding of the things that we need to do in order to be able to balance ourselves to be that for somebody else. You have to be able to be somebody else's balance, because a marriage is about anchoring the other person. I've got to anchor you, you got to anchor me. Because I can be doing all of these things, but I need to have what you call a center point. For me, my center point is God. But marriage is meant to be that the man is to be the human reflection